Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Virginia, aka Orange Zeppelin, and we are frickin' jolly here in the Artcave. We have got our festive holiday lights going. I have got my festive sheets and my festive plushies. I've got some festive coffee over there. I mean, it's the exact same coffee I always drink, but it's the magic of Christmas that makes it extra festive. I would absolutely have been wearing my festive sweater if it were not like almost 80 degrees today. I would literally sweat to death. I've got my festive sleigh bells on my bike so I can go be a public nuisance while commuting. I'm gonna get a little mini Santa hat for this guy. I'm having a hard time finding the right size. I might need to make one. What about you, Claudia? Do you feel festive? Are you festive today? Oh. There's no Christmas music at all. I work retail. I don't want to hear it. I'm already done with the Christmas music. I remember there was a whole thing where Guantanamo Bay was using music from the band Skinny Puppy to torture the prisoners there. They should have taken the song Hippopotamus for Christmas and played it on repeat. I would actually rather be waterboarded. And on that festive note, let's talk about the goings-on in the Artcave. So last year around this time, I released 12 videos because I'm insane and I'm a glutton for punishment, but I did it to fundraise for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital alongside Fallout for Hope, which is a group of gamers, mostly Fallout fans, who all band together and do a lot of game streaming to raise funds for St. Jude. And they get together and they'll raise funds throughout the year for other causes, like the Alzheimer's Association. They do a big streaming event. And well, I'll be honest, I did consider putting together some kind of stop motion claymation thing this year. I completely ran out of time and I'm just backed up on a lot of projects that kind of just need to be done before next year, because I have some very big projects that I'm anticipating early next year. I have some very big plans actually that I'm going to talk about later in the video. But point is, I'm not going to do a fundraising video this year. But I am, in the description below, I'm going to link the 12 Days of Comicsmas playlist, and I'm going to include a link to where you can download the tie-in coloring book that I made, part of the fundraising event. And I am also going to have a link below to where you can donate to the Fallout for Hope campaign for St. Jude. And all I ask is, if you download that coloring book, that you consider making even just a small donation to St. Jude, which I'm going to make a big donation in lieu of doing a fundraising video. I wouldn't ask you to donate to a cause that I was not personally doing something for also, but it is totally okay if you're not able to donate. I totally understand. I'm just happy you're tuning into the video, and I hope you're having a good and hopefully very relaxing holiday season. This is sometimes the festivity gets a little manic. Maybe I just need to limit myself to one festive coffee a day. If you can distinguish individual heartbeats, you haven't had enough. I actually have another charity that I like to donate to around this time of year. We have a local charity in my area called Jack's Helping Hand that specifically helps children with special needs or medical issues. And every year they do a toy fundraiser called Joy for Jacks, and there's a business pretty close to where I work that puts out a donation bin every year. So I always like to go a little crazy, buying toys and art supplies. And I actually bought another copy of that Yu-Gi-Oh! Coloring book that I shared in some previous videos. In other Artcave news, I did a little painting for my grandma that I'm giving to her for Christmas. And somewhere in the background of this video, I think you can hear my cat just howling for dinner 2 hours early. And currently, I have a painting of Ozzy Osbourne in progress. He's a little sunburnt right now. I'm going to fix it. I'm actually having a little bit of... It is hard to see, but I'm having a little bit of a hard time with this canvas. I've got a lot of weird little, like, gaps in the color. I actually had a little bit of a hard time even laying down just a flat color. So this, I think it's just something, the material of the canvas, it got treated a little weird, but I think it's something I can figure out. I mean, him being super pink is my own damn fault. I'm gonna fix that. And I wanted to do a painting of him since before he passed away, which I did do a pretty cool colored pencil drawing of him sometime last year, and I did do a very small painting of him right after he did pass away. But this I started on December 3rd, which would have been his 77th birthday, so that felt like a very good day to start working on this. And then in late November, I also did a private commission, which I was very thankful for. And it's private because Christmas time is coming and I don't want to spoil anybody's Christmas present in a video. Even if it's very unlikely they're going to watch the video, it's still just better to be safe. And then I do have big plans for early next year, but first I want to set up to do some drawing because I'm going to be talking for a bit and I want to give you something to actually look at. And I feel like it's been a little bit since I've actually drawn anything on this channel. Anyway, let's get set up. Alright, so I'm set up to do some sketching. I don't actually really know what I'm doing other than I'm going to follow this vague plan I have here, and then I also want to test out, oh, there's a hair on my paper. I want to test out these new markers that I just got, and these are the Blick Studio brand alcohol markers, so that will be very interesting to see how these behave. I did use them a little bit the other day. My expectation is they're going to be very similar to the Prismacolor markers. In fact, this is a little bit different than the Prismacolor chisel tip. Let me find some other markers, get a good comparison. All right, so this is not actually a very recent Prismacolor. I think this is an old Prismacolor. This has a much chunkier wedge, and then actually this right here, this is some, let's get that to focus, there we go, this is some super generic brand, and that is the chisel tip on this. So that's kind of what the Blick chisel looks like. Let's take a look at that is our fine point, and I feel like that is pretty similar to our, actually no, the Prismacolor, again, this is an older one, and there's a few different points with the Prismacolor markers. Actually, it might be worth it to mention that I do have Prismacolors that are fairly old. In comparison to this other generic brand, you can find things like this on Temu under like 47 different names. I got them really cheap at a bookstore, and just bro, what even is this? I mean, this thing is just, that is flaccid, absolutely disgusting. Actually, no, this one's worse. That just, oh my god, I cannot not recommend these ones enough. But I have fairly high hopes about the Blick markers. Now I've just got marker on myself. Now before we start sketching, I do want to talk about another festive libation. This I got for my birthday, Highland Park 12. I've been told this is a good introduction to basically what a peated scotch would be. Peat is basically like just a brick of decomposing plant matter, and they can cut it up and dry it, and it burns really well. So in a lot of scotch production, the fire from peat bricks to dry out the barley, and what it imparts is this smoky, briny, just a whole slew of very interesting flavors. And I've had a peated whiskey before. I had a Canadian whiskey that was peated, and it tasted kind of like barbecue potato chips and chewing on a baseball glove, but I was very intrigued. So I was expecting that this would have a similar kind of barbecue-y smoke. Like, that was both very sweet and leathery in a way that was appealing, strangely. But this one here, this kind of surprised me because, like, on the nose you get something a little sweet and fruity, but you also get this saltiness that's very interesting. And then taking a sip, you get this flavor. I've heard people use the term briny to describe some peated scotches, and that I live right by the ocean, so I taste this and it's like that tastes like a nice evening on the waterfront. That's actually pretty nice. I actually really like the smell of low tide because I associate it with the waterfront. So I'll smell low tide and be like, I could go for a nice hot cup of clam chowder. I feel like this and some clam chowder that would be a beautiful evening right there. This makes me very, very curious about Lafroig 10 because I've heard that is very polarizing. The brininess, some people are like, absolutely not. This is a seagull's armpit. I might actually really like that. I think it's worth it to go out of your comfort zone, try new things. So always try them responsibly. Make sure you get your water too. Got to stay hydrated. Especially this time of year, since all those festive holiday treats. Inflammation is a very big problem this time of year, so make sure you're drinking lots of water. But now that we have had our libation, let us get drawing. Alright, so this is just a fun practice session. I'm not trying to do anything really finished. I'm actually trying to work from an angle that I struggle with. So today's mostly about experimentation, and when we get further along, you'll see me experiment with materials a bit, and some things work better than others. So here is the big exciting news that I teased earlier. I've been asked several times about the possibility of having prints available, and I wasn't sure how to go about it until recently when I realized the answer is actually pretty obvious. I could just use something like Redbubble, and that's what I'm looking into as an option. That will give me a good variety of products that I can have for sale. There's several options for prints. You can have canvas or board prints in your shop in addition to like a poster style of print. And I already have several pieces that I think would make for really good prints, but I also want to do some new art that I can use to also fluff up my portfolio, because I was looking at my portfolio recently. I had changed the layout of my portfolio, and now it's just it's more obvious that it's very sparse. I am being very discerning about what I include in my portfolio, but there's some tumbleweeds rolling by. I think there's an echo in my portfolio. It needs to be beefed up. I definitely want to have a bunch of stickers in my shop because that is a super easy way to support people. I really like buying stickers from artists. I want to do a couple of shirt designs, and I'm probably going to order some of my own products just to see what the end result looks like in person, and then I can do some adjustments from there. Maybe I need to color correct some things that I have posted. As of right now, if I have art for sale, it's all on my DeviantArt page. And if you go onto my page and look into my gallery, you'll see that I have everything sorted into folders. And there's one folder called Art for Sale, and every image in there is an available artwork with the dimensions and price listed in the description. It's also a little bit sparse right now. I gotta beef that up also. That is a big goal for me, is I gotta beef up my art for sale, my portfolio. And DeviantArt also makes it really easy to upload comics now. It used to be that if you were going to upload a comic with multiple pages, every page had to be a separate upload, but now you can upload a whole stack of images just as one upload and people can look through it super easily. I'm kind of amazed it took them this long for that update to become a thing. I think DeviantArt has been around for 25 years now, and I've been on for 18 of those 25 years. People have been using it for comics for ages. This is a very overdue change, but it was a very welcome one. So as of this video going up, all of my comic books are stacked and organized in a folder labeled comics. As of writing the script, I did find a giant can of worms that I had to spend several hours organizing. I also had a few older zines that I'm not going to do physical reprints of that I wanted to upload all the pages of. That's all worked out now. Thank goodness. I think what happened is when the comic page, the multiple images in an upload update happened, I was like, oh, I'll fix all my little comics where I have just 3 or 4 pages, and I looked at my science fiction series and how I needed to organize well over 100 images and was like, oh, that's a problem for another day, and that was a little bit of a headache, but all finished now. But that actually leads me to another big plan, and if you follow me on social media, you'll already know where this is going because I talked about it in a few places. I was using my Patreon page to host my comics in organized, stacked ways, but ever since that DeviantArt update, it's basically been rendered redundant. And honestly, Patreon has never really benefited me. I had some issues with my page, actually, that I wasn't able to fix without... I guess I needed to get tech support involved. So the plan that I decided on is just unpublishing my creator page, but I will still be active as a donor so I can support other people. And as of writing the video script, my goal was to do this in January and to give myself a little bit of time to prepare. But to reference The Watchmen, I'm pulling an Ozymandias right now. I actually did it all last night. Technically, I did it last week, but last night is when I updated the image with all of my social media links on it that I have in my pinned posts just across all the sites I'm on. And I went through and removed all the Patreon links that I can find that I distinctly remembered where they were. I know there's links hiding in places that I don't remember, so there's going to be a little more hunting. But it kind of feels like a weight has been lifted. I honestly freaking hate being so spread out online. As an artist, I find that social media is a necessary evil. I refuse to put a ton of effort into fighting the algorithm. I'm a little bit of a Luddite in some ways. Like I don't want to have a bunch of accounts floating around that I might not remember. I don't want an app for whatever bullshit. I like my technology to just be very easy. And I know that when I create the Redbubble shop, that is going to add another thing into the mix, but it's not like starting another social media page. That's what I find to be a giant headache. If I was not an artist and I wasn't going through the whole rigmarole of promoting myself, I'd be on like Facebook and forums. That's it. That's what I like. I'm old. I am a child of the forum years. I miss when the internet was kind of just the Wild West, and so I hang out in forums that still have that same vibe. Which I will say, I get zero hate on social media. A lot of people have experienced, when you're a creator online, that opens yourself up to all kinds of harsh comments. I haven't experienced that, and when I do, I don't care, really. And what's funny, I just got through saying I basically hang out on the last frontier of the internet, the Wild West, and that's where some of my nicest comments come from. I do feel like a lot of it is that I try to put out a lot of positive energy. I can get into really bad headspaces, but it is important to me that I'm not bringing that into my online content, and I don't make you guys hear me bitch and moan. I do, however, want to do some like art and story time videos where I just go off on the worst art teachers I've ever had. There's going to be a little bit of bitching. I have got some stories. And I don't mean things like, this teacher critiqued my color choice on my final and I was very triggered. I mean, like, I had a teacher who randomly made screeching noises and would lunge at you. I think this is why I think everybody is so nice, because the amount of crazy people I've known is off the charts. So yeah, I want to share some stories in the coming year, and I do kind of want to talk about art teachers that I really, really liked. What was funny, and I know I've said this before, but one of my favorite art teachers in college was somebody that everybody else in the class hated because she'd actually tell you what was and wasn't working in your art. She actually critiqued you. I loved it. Everybody else got so butthurt. I don't remember her name, and I feel so bad that I don't remember her name, but I'd love to see her again and be like, lady, I need you to roast me. I need to be roasted. But in conclusion, as always, I got lots of big plans coming up, and I will keep you posted along the way. All right, so I've got my finished piece. I'm trying to show this in a way that you're not really getting any glare. I feel like as I was filming this, I was getting quite a bit of glare from my light. In terms of the marker quality, I feel like this is very, very similar to the Prismacolors, as I was saying. This is not actually very good paper for using with markers. This is the Strathmore sketch paper. I don't know what just fell out of my sketchbook on the floor. It's a little bit of it does say fine tooth surface. It's not like super toothy, but there's just enough tooth that it's not like absolutely perfect for markers. It's not terrible for markers either. It's actually pretty decent for mixed media. I actually don't think I really succeeded at the angle that I wanted to draw from. I did say in my voiceover that I was trying to do an angle I'm not as good at. I don't know, it's like I needed to make her head bigger. We're supposed to be looking down from above, and I feel like, I don't know, proportionally she seems a little bit off. But this is a good starting point if I wanted to try again and maybe draw a bench that is actually Euclidean and not whatever the hell this is. I don't know. I had fun with this. I think she turned out pretty cute. But on that note, thank you guys for joining me in a little sketchbook session. I am very, very, very close to the end here. I've been working on this sketchbook for a much longer span of time than I normally spend in sketchbooks, but I've been doing a lot of painting, I've been doing a lot of comics. I would like to have this done very soon, and then I will do a full sketchbook tour. That'll be sometime early in the beginning of next year. So on that note, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a very good, very safe holiday, and I will see you in the next video next year.